Here's Christmas holiday entertainment on BBC1.
You pretty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, we love you. And in
Dick Van Dyke stars in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the story of a car that floats and flies.
Bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang.
We better get away from here.
Barnum is the hit stage musical about the great American showman starring Michael Crawford.
Heads is yes, and tails is no. Mr. Bailey, you got yourself a partner. To the biggest show in the country, the greatest show on earth. When the circus comes your way.
This is my song, my very own song. I can sing it short or I can sing it long.
Russ Tamblyn stars as Tom Thumb. Once upon a time, a woodcutter was given a tiny son by the Forest Queen. But the boy was kidnapped by villains.
What should I do now?
Tie the rope to one of those bags.
Which one?
The biggest one.
Take a look.
Yes, it's Mary Poppins. And
when you're with Mary Poppins, suddenly you're in places you never dreamed of. And quick as you can say, Bob's your uncle, the most unusual things begin to happen.
It's a jolly holiday with Mary. I wonder that it's Mary that we love.
holiday entertainment for all the family on BBC1.
Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau in an Oscar-winning performance star in the Billy Wilder film The Fortune Cookie over on BBC2.
Entertainment for Christmas Day on BBC1 at 5:25, the Russ Abbot Christmas Show.
Good heavens.
What is it, sir?
See for yourself.
At 6 o'clock, Just Good Friends.
Could you leave that pen? I've got to find it.
It's a blank piece of paper.
That's a list of all my assets.
At 6:35, EastEnders. And Love Strikes at 7:05 in Only Fools and Horses.
Right now, these canteens of cutlery are a very exclusive line. You can only buy these in Harrods, Lippides and Patel's Multimart.
At 8:20, Mystery and Intrigue. There's been a murder at the vicarage. Another new case for Miss Marple. Then at 10 o'clock, it's back to the Queen Vic. At 10:40, Educating Rita.
And what do they call you round here?
Sir. But you may call me Frank.
A great lineup of entertainment for Christmas Day on BBC1.
This is BBC1. It's just after 5:15 and now the news with Jan Leeming.
Air Sea Rescue off Iceland. 5 are saved, 6 are missing. On dry land and homeward bound, passengers from the Irish ferry. And the Queen's Christmas message, look after the world's children. An intensive rescue operation is still underway in the North Atlantic for 6 missing crewmen from an Icelandic coaster which sank in rough seas this morning. 3 bodies have been spotted in a life raft. 3 other men were seen jumping into the water as their ship sank. The ship, called the Sunderland, got into trouble just before midnight, 300 miles off Iceland. 30 minutes later, they abandoned ship. Towards dawn, 2 British Nimrod search planes spotted survivors in 2 lifeboats and managed to drop survival equipment. Also answering their Mayday call was a Danish naval frigate, the Veteran, which was patrolling 100 nautical miles away off the coast of Greenland. It immediately sent a long-range Lynx helicopter to the scene. Earlier this afternoon, the 5 surviving crewmen were winched to safety. Peter Hawkins, captain of one of the Nimrod search planes, says there's little hope for the 3 men who went down with their vessel.
I would assess that in the prevailing weather conditions and the time of year, that if 3 members who got into a dinghy subsequently died, or indeed they may have been dead when they were brought into the dinghy, there is very little hope for anybody else who has no survival equipment. And certainly we saw no signs while we were there of any other survivors.
300 passengers who spent Christmas Eve marooned on board an Irish ferry flew home to Ireland today. The ferry was left drifting off the Devon coast for more than 18 hours after a fire in the engine room. Last night it was towed into Plymouth. Today the owners chartered a jumbo jet to fly the passengers on to Dublin.
Shortly before daybreak, cargo and passengers began leaving the stricken ferry. Many of the travellers had taken advantage of free telephone calls to friends and relatives in Ireland, and Father Christmas had been on board to cheer up the children. 4 hours later, the 300 passengers were arriving by coach at Heathrow Airport. Some, criticising the ferry crew, said they'd felt trapped behind doors which closed automatically below deck during the fire.
And luckily there was one member of the crew who was coming out at the same time as us, who showed us there was a release button on one of the doors, but if we'd been on our own we wouldn't have known. We would have been trapped.
So how did you feel at that time? You must have been afraid, frightened.
Yeah, we were terrified at that stage, and especially with the baby, because she's been very sick the whole way.
Others said the crew reacted marvellously, although information was scarce.
I think that worries everybody always, isn't it? You always want to know really what's happening, and but just their reassuring way and their kindness was enough.
And this afternoon at Dublin Airport, journeys end for some of the families and long-delayed Christmas reunions. For others, there was still a final leg by road to the far-flung reaches of the Emerald Isle.
The Queen's Christmas broadcast this year had an extra informality. It came from a children's party in the Royal Mews at Buckingham Palace. Her other public appearance was with members of the royal family at St George's Chapel, Windsor.
It was a wet rather than a white Christmas for the family service this year, and the Queen left without the usual family gathering on the chapel steps. But the drizzle couldn't keep the crowds away, and the Queen Mother, still recovering from her recent illness, was there too. The Princess of Wales was wearing a seasonably red outfit, which came very close to matching her sister-in-law's. This year, the Queen's message came from a children's party at the Royal Mews. It was especially relaxed and informal, with a trip round the royal stables, where she used the children's theme again for her message.
We must not forget those children who are the victims of ill treatment or neglect. It is no easy task to care for and bring up children, whatever your circumstances, whether you are famous or quite unknown. But we could all help by letting the spirit of Christmas fill our homes with love and care, and by heeding our Lord's injunction to treat others as you would like them to treat you.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, in his traditional Christmas Day sermon, has spoken of the special spirit that is created by the festive season. For most of the year, he said, we're struck by the impossibility of peace, but at Christmas there's kindness and friendliness in the air. Strangers are welcomed, frosty neighbours thaw, old jealousies are forgotten and neighbours are forgiven. Because Christmas exists, he told his congregation, we know that the world is not in the exclusive control of fear, greed and dishonesty. It was a cold but sunny morning in St. Peter's Square in Rome, where crowds gathered to hear the Pope's Christmas message. He spoke of the menacing powers of the earth which squandered their incalculable wealth on weapons, and he called on the world to follow the example of love set by St. Francis. The French hostage released in Beirut yesterday has arrived back in Paris. He'd been held for almost a year by an extremist Muslim group. Aurel Conner was met at the airport by his wife and the French Prime Minister Jacques Chirac. He said he was very tired but delighted to be there. He couldn't really believe he was in Paris again. He said he had no idea he'd been released until half an hour before his kidnappers let him go. And now some news just in. 59 people are reported killed after hijackers blew up an Iraqi plane in Saudi Arabia. The Boeing 747 was on a flight from Baghdad to Jordan when it landed at Turabi Airport in Saudi Arabia. There, unidentified hijackers exploded the plane. It's not yet known whether they were killed too. The fourth test match between England and Australia begins in Melbourne tomorrow morning. But today was a time to relax as the England team got together with the press.
Members of the press corps here comatose, allegedly sent to sleep by yet another England press conference. The pantomime over, the players did their turn. David Gower with a more than passable imitation of an SS officer.
Excuse me, I wanted no pictures here, thank you.
This is England wicketkeeper Jack Richards, after another victim. And Neil Foster came as a representative of the so-called gutter press, looking for an exclusive story. The entire Botham family are in Melbourne, including one-year-old Rebecca, the youngest person to attend the party. This very much a family occasion. No time to talk about the crucial test match tomorrow.
Is that tomorrow? Worry about that when we get there.
England all-rounder Philip de Freitas could well be opening the bowling again tomorrow. England only have to avoid defeat to be sure of retaining the Ashes. It would be a memorable achievement for England's captain.
This is Mike Canning for BBC News in Melbourne. Merry Christmas.
And that's our news for now. Our main news is at 10:30 on BBC1.
Good evening. You'd have had more fun counting sheep today than you would looking for snow. Yan, tian, tetherer, leatherer, shetherer, hover-a-dick, and a dick, bumfick, that kind of thing. But you all know that, don't you? Actually, it was quite mild in southern parts of the country today, all because of this particular frontal system, which brought a lot of rain down from the north. But we've got a few little disturbances out to the west here. This one's going to bring more patches of rain into the southwest later on tonight. And this frontal system is going to bring a fair number of showers across northern Britain later on tonight as well, and through tomorrow morning. The remnants of today's rain just leaving the south coast now, and some showers up in the northwest of Scotland there, some quite heavy ones, but as skies clear inland you will find some fog patches turning up, and still some patches of drizzle down in the southwest here. Temperatures holding up in the southwest where it's cloudy, but a touch of frost in many other places, and one or two icy roads of course where you've had the afternoon rain. Tomorrow morning then, some patches of rain in the south once again, and those showers continuing to make southeastward progress across northern parts of Britain as we go through the day. As it turns colder later on in the day, we're going to find those showers turning to sleet and snow up on the mountains, and some hail probably later on as well. Eventually, though, the showers turning up in the southeast, but many places staying dry and bright, and temperatures at the best in the south, about 7 or 8 degrees, which is the mid-40s Fahrenheit, but a very chilly wind in the north, 5 or 6 being the low 40s Fahrenheit. I'll be back later on.
Join in the family celebrations on Christmas Day on BBC1 with EastEnders. A double helping of family festivity in EastEnders at 6:35 and 10 o'clock on Christmas Day.
And in about 35 minutes, Paul Nicholas and Jan Francis stumble along the rocky road of love as Vince and Penny willing us to believe that they're just good friends. And now apparently Richard III tries to find a friend at a dating agency. It must be the Russ Abbot Christmas show.
Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little Christmas present as much as we enjoyed sending it. The BBC gave me a Christmas drink, by the way. You'd think they'd give me a bottle, wouldn't you? But, however, here's to you, and may you enjoy the rest of your Christmas and have a happy and a peaceful New Year. Cheers.
Russ Abbot is currently appearing in Jack and the Beanstalk at the Palace Theatre, Manchester.
Entertainment for Christmas Day with Del and Rodney in a special Only Fools and Horses.
Here we go, a 36-piece canteen set of cutlery, made in Indonesia, handmade, genuine synthetic leather case, manufacturer's recommended retail price £42.99, yours for first come, first served, £3.50. What do you mean?
I'm an artist. I went away to college for a while.
Really?
I was at the Milan School of Art for 2 years, then I had a spell at the Sorbonne. Where were you?
Basingstoke.
Only Fools and Horses, tonight at 7:05.
And in 35 minutes, we make the first of our 2 Christmas Day journeys along the Thames to Albert Square and the East Enders. But before that, there's romance in the air, or are they just good friends?